Yo, where the cake at? Yeah, Chef Matt, you gotta make that, bake that, bake that. Yeah, what's up with the Big Mac? 100 times better than a Big Mac.
Hey there, Chef Matt again. What we're going to do today is we're going to make a turkey meatloaf with a ketchup and maple syrup glaze. I'm going to do some smashed roasted potatoes, and I'm going to do some string beans with some crushed almonds. Let's get into it. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is I'm going to peel the carrots, and I'm going to dice the onion and celery. We're gonna saute that, and we're gonna mix our ingredients together as far as turkey, some breadcrumb, some applesauce that I stole from my kids, and a little salt and pepper. And then we'll start putting them in the oven. I'll show you how we do that. So I guess when you're peeling, the safest way to do it is just peel away from you. Because if you don't peel towards your fingers, it's a lot easier to not cut yourself. So peel away. As you can see, it comes pretty simple. And then this is garbage, obviously. Do about a half an onion, depends on what size onion you have. I like to clean it off a little bit. It's not the sexiest looking onion. Again, get rid of your garbage. And it all depends on how big you want the vegetables in your meatloaf. I like to do like a medium dice or so. So, over there, you tuck your fingers in when you're cutting. You don't want to cut yourself. And that's your medium dice. Same with the carrots. Cut off your bottoms and tops. Pretty simple recipe. Everything I try to do, high protein, low carbohydrates. Even though we're putting a little breadcrumb in, it's still going to be a pretty high protein dinner. And potatoes are actually a lot better than people realize. They're good for you. And gluten-free, which if you don't know, the gluten in our country, I mean, everyone's going to give me a different opinion about it, but my opinion is it's kind of toxic and poison, especially if you're eating, random bread from the grocery store. The amount of ingredients that are in it are just insane. So the best thing you could do is eat potatoes, rice. If you could find a place to make sourdough with just like a couple ingredients, those are all good tips for your gut, because your gut's happy if you put things in it that are a lot less ingredients. But the flour in this country is all sprayed with glyphosate and who knows what else. So, hey, if you have time to make your own bread, great. Try to find, the best flour you can. Again, just cutting these in medium dice. I know everybody cuts like this, so it's easy for everybody. No, I'm just kidding. Take your time. This is something you could do day before even. If you want to just get everything ready, you can prep this night before. Get all your ingredients, set up for yourself. Or even better, tell somebody else to do it for you. And then, for me, while my kids are out of the house, it's a lot easier. So that's why I'm doing it at this point. And that's all the veggies we do here. And then we'll move on to doing the saute, and we'll move over to the oven. All right. Okay, so to do a smashed roasted potato, which I call these, basically you boil them about 70% through, and then you put them on a sheet pan, and you smash them down, a little olive oil and salt and pepper, and then you roast them in the oven. So it's like a double cook, right? You're boiling them, and then you're roasting them. But you have to smash them in between with olive oil and salt and pepper. And it's delicious. It's like a thick potato chip, if you will. And we'll check those out. I think you guys will like them. All right, guys, so next step. As I'm doing this, my potatoes are on like a high heat. I'm trying to get them to a boil. And then I'll let them go for about 10 minutes when it gets to a boil. Let them cook. And again, like I said, I'll drain them, smash them, olive oil, salt, and pepper, and then we'll put them in the oven. Next step for the the turkey loaf, will be my veggies. I have a pan going right now on about medium heat. Let that get pretty hot. I'm gonna saute the veggies down maybe for about 4 or 5 minutes. Let them cool down, and then I'm gonna add them to the turkey and all my other ingredients for the meatloaf. All right, so let's get that going. Come over here, make sure everything's hot. I actually use avocado oil as well. It has a better smoke rate, and it's healthier for you for cooking in general. A lot of people think olive oil is kind of good for everything. Olive oil is more of a kind of room temperature oil. So I would say if you want to cook, I would use coconut oil and avocado oil. And then ghee and butter is great too. So that's a little tip. So I'm going to throw the veggies in now. You want to hear a little sizzle. That's good. Right? And I will cook these down. And after I cook them down, cool them off, and then we'll make the meatloaf, all right? As soon as the vegetables get a little color, you can kind of move it to the side, let it cool down. The potatoes will take a little longer, but the veggies should cook within like 4 to 5 minutes. As soon as you see a couple of them turning a little brown, shut it down, move it over. Because we're going to cook it again in the turkey meatloaf. Turns a little brown, shut it down. You always want to season kind of everything you're doing, so put a little salt and pepper on your veg, even though we're going to salt and pepper the meat as well. So, little tip. It's the little spice way. Pro tip, always salt and pepper. And don't be afraid to fill up something like this and use your hands to salt and pepper. Because those little, dinky things take you 3 days to put as much salt as you really need. So this is where you kind of wanted to get to, right? It's not like cooked like crazy, but it's got a good cook to it. And now we'll cook more in the meatloaf. So I'm going to shut this down, put that over there, let it cool down a little bit. Potatoes are still going. And now I'm going to get all my other ingredients going over here. Go start putting together the turkey meatloaf. So pretty straightforward, right? You want to get your turkey, get a nice bowl. Put your turkey in a bowl. You want 1 egg. Pop that in a bowl. You want about half a cup of breadcrumb. You can always change the consistency on the go. I'm eyeing it, so about that. And then, again, applesauce that I'm stealing from my children. I do about, let's say 1 of these, which is, what is this? About 3 ounces, 3 or 4 ounces of applesauce, which is probably good enough. And the reason I put applesauce is because it's a nice non-sugar sweetener, which is very natural. You could add a little more if you want, but like a traditional meatloaf, which is like beef and pork, when you get a pork chop, an applesauce is kind of a good compliment for you, right? So I think a natural meatloaf, when you put applesauce in, it has that natural, marriage of the applesauce and the pork. Even though this is turkey, it still works. So, great little tip. So these are the starter ingredients. When the veggies cool down, we're going to put them in here as well. We'll mix them up by hand. We'll try to get a specific consistency. I'll show you what it looks like. And then we'll put the maple ketchup glaze on top, and we'll throw it right in the oven. All right. So I think the veggies are cooled, and we can start mixing stuff up here. We're going to get our hands a little dirty. Not everyone likes to. If you hate touching turkey, you know, you could buy some gloves, which is actually probably a little easier, but I just don't have any gloves, and I don't mind touching turkey, so I'm gonna get my hands dirty. Get the veggies in, right? We got all the ingredients in now. So, again, salt and pepper, right? At this point, you salt and pepper your veggies. You want to salt and pepper enough for the turkey. Oh, Chef Matt, how do I do enough salt and pepper? How do I do, how much, too much, blah, blah, blah. Basically, where I come from, you know, I can eye it out and figure it out, but you want to think of like, you know, when you coat a steak, right? You want to coat both sides. So the amount of turkey you have in here, you want to just imagine you're coating both sides of the turkey, right? So if I'm coating this side, that's one side, and now I'm coating the other side, that's the other side, right? So that's the amount of salt and pepper I would put in. Like 2 good tablespoons, I would say, added into it. So now at this point, this is the dirty part, right? So I'm gonna get in here and I'm gonna start getting a little dirty, which is fine. You wanna bind everything together now. And you wanna get to a point where the consistency feels right, that, you know, it's kind of balling together in some way and staying together in some way. And if you see it, you can see my fingerprints in it almost, and see how it stands up by itself. That's kind of the consistency you want. Because now you know when it cooks, it will stay in that ball-like consistency for it. Also, I coated my sheet pan here with some tin foil. That's just kind of a move to keep the sheet pan cleaner. You can just throw the tin foil out after, and the sheet pan won't be as messy, a lot easier to clean up. So that's the first move. And then as far as you're balling it up like this, look at this already. It already looks like a loaf without even me pouring it out. So there you go. You got your meatloaf. Another easy thing to do is, instead of trying to rip it out with your hand, just upside down. Comes right out. Clean pan. Right? Now, while it's on here, you form your loaf. Right? It doesn't have to be specifically down this way or whatever. As long as it's on the pan and it's formed the way you want, that's the way you want the loaf to look. So as you can see, we got a good looking meatloaf ready. You want the middle to be as thin as the outsides, because the outsides will cook a lot faster, obviously. And that's what it should look like before you put it in the oven, but before we put the glaze on as well. We're gonna do the glaze in a minute. I'll show you how to make the glaze, I'll show you how to put the glaze on, and then we'll finish in the oven. Okay, maple glaze, right? Pretty straightforward. I got my potatoes boiling over there. I'll deal with them in a second, they're fine. But basically maple glaze, ketchup, I would say, let's go 4 tablespoons ketchup, right? I don't know if you guys can see that. And then we'll do 2 or 3 tablespoons maple syrup. It's that easy to make, right? Let's just bind it together. You know, it's got a little tang from the ketchup and the sweetness from the ketchup, but even more sweetness now from the maple syrup. And you guys could do this whatever way you want. I do it this way, kind of lay it on, and then after this, I use the spoon to kind of glide. You want to cover a lot of it if you can. If it touches the side, it's okay, but you kind of want it more for the sides and the top of the meatloaf. And it's a great little glaze. It will caramelize while it's cooking, while the turkey's cooking, and give it a whole nother sweet, tangy flavor on top. And it's very easy, as you can see. So this is the before, and we will show you the after. All right? and we'll get that going. So now the oven's at 375. I'll probably put this in for about a half hour to 40 minutes, and then we'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Yeah, so basically what I'm doing now is just making sure the potatoes are soft enough for me to smash them. And they do feel like it, right? So that's just a touch test. So those are done. They've been on for, I want to say, 10 or 15 minutes. I'm going to drain them. And then when they're drained, I'm going to pour them in my sheet pan, a little salt, pepper, olive oil. We're going to smash them down. We're going to put them in the oven with the meatloaf. All right. All right, so now I got some water on here. Got to bring that to a boil for the string beans. While I'm doing that, my potatoes are done, right? So sorry to turn my back to you. Here are the potatoes. They're pretty hot still, but they're pretty dry. That's what you want. You want them dry. We're gonna pour them out on the sheet pan, right? Pour them on the sheet pan. Bring them right here. Easier spot to work with. And then as they're here, I'm gonna let them cool down a little bit more because I don't want to burn my hand off. And I'm gonna do a little olive oil and salt and pepper as I smash, right? And then I'll probably add a little bit more olive oil after and a little more salt and pepper. Roast them in the oven for, I want to say 20 minutes. As the meatloaf is done, we could simultaneously pull both out, and then we have dinner ready because the string beans are pretty quick. Okay? Let's do it. Okay, so we got our water boiling over here for the string beans. So I'm gonna drop these in. Pretty simple, right? Oh, missed one. We'll let those go for a couple minutes. So I said olive oil, but I meant avocado oil, right? So we're gonna do a drizzle avocado, right? And this is basically for two reasons. They won't stick to the pan as much, and it's also gonna help the top get a nice like brown to it. So we do a little of that, mix them around, right? So you're coating the potatoes. As that's going on, again, maybe 2 tablespoons of salt and pepper. Don't be stingy on the salt. Usually everyone is, so use a little more salt usually for an average person than you would think. So now we got all that going, and it's basically smash time. Get in there and smash them down. You can wait as long as you want, let them cool off as long as you want. These are still a little hot, but my hand can handle it. Or can it? We'll find out. Smash them down. But it's fun, something you do with your kids even too. They probably love to do this stuff. Again, make sure it's cool enough for them, especially for them. And I'll go on with this process until I have the whole thing decked out this way. All right, so they're all smashed. Little more drizzle, right? And then a little more salt and pepper, right? These are ready to go. We'll get them in with the meatloaf. We'll see you in about 20 minutes. So we got everything cooking at 375. If you want, you could turn it up to 400. It all depends on what your oven is exactly. We got the string beans going. They'll go for probably another 3 minutes or so. I like mine with a little bite. It all depends on how you like them, but I like mine a little al dente. For the sliced almonds, you could buy them sliced if you want. I got them whole, and I'm kind of gonna just go through my knife with them a little bit. So these are the almonds I'm going to add to the string beans. And if you guys don't like almonds, you can use crushed pistachios. You can use sliced cashews. I think it gives it a nice crunch to a softer string bean. So the string beans are done. I'm going to take these off the oven. I'm going to strain them. And I'm going to throw some cold water on them so they stop cooking. Just for a second, cool them down. When that's done, I got a pan here that I use for the vegetables, for the meatloaf. So it just has a little avocado oil on it and maybe a couple onions floating around, which why not add some flavor to it? I'll do the string beans, little avocado oil, and the sliced almonds that I just did. All right, here we go. String beans. Avocado oil, just a little bit. Tablespoon salt and pepper. And our almonds. That's it. Now you got a nice crunchy green bean on the side there. We'll let this sit. I'll mix it up a little bit. When we pull the meatloaf and the potatoes out, I'll show you what a plate looks like. And we'll go from there.